Hey, this week on Mississippi Roads, we're heading up to Tupelo to celebrate one of their most famous native sons, Elvis Aaron Presley, at the annual Tupelo Elvis Festival. We'll pay a visit to a special group of artists who are learning the joys and expressing themselves in new and colorful ways. Then tour a museum paying tribute to an all-American beverage, before hopping down to the coast to check in on a restaurant that really has the locals buzzing, the Blowfly Inn.
Support for the arts segment of Mississippi Roads comes from the Mississippi Arts Commission, whose mission is to be a catalyst for the arts and creativity in Mississippi. Information available at www.arts.ms.gov.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Down Mississippi Road.
Just like Elvis's story started at his birthplace here in Tupelo, we're going to start our story at the Elvis Presley birthplace in Tupelo. And you just mentioned the name Elvis Presley. It brings back so many memories and emotions and so many images from that era, especially for those of us who were alive at that time during Elvis's productive years from the late 50s through the late 70s. And even today, 3 decades after his death, the world is still captivated by the man that brought rock and roll to the masses. Doesn't matter if you were alive for the Elvis craze or came after, he still stands as an American icon throughout the years. And that's what brings us to Tupelo, Mississippi for their annual Tupelo Elvis Festival. When some people think of Elvis, they think of Memphis, Tennessee. But it's here in Tupelo that Elvis was born and spent his formative years performing gospel and soaking up the sounds of the South. There's so much to do and see here that the festival organizers couldn't cram everything into 1 or 2 days. Nope, up here it takes 4 days to get all the celebrating done. The stages are packed with one great group after another. There's a block party, and of course, what kind of an Elvis festival would it be without some top-notch Elvis impersonators, or as they're called these days, Elvis tribute artists.
I started when I was about 5. I always loved Elvis Presley, and I didn't ever get away from it. Always a big fan, but I did the country rock thing for right at 10 years, and just got back. Actually, June the 20th is my 1-year anniversary of doing it. So just got back into it, and I've loved every minute of it. It takes me about 20 minutes to get ready. It's luckily this is my own hair. Everything's real, so it don't take as long as a lot of people have to do it. But it's basically get in the shower, dry it, comb it the right way, and come out here. So. Well, I was supposed to be in this Tupelo festival, and I really wanted to compete, but the way it works is if you've won a past contest, you can come, but you can't compete in the contest. So I won at Legends in Concert at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then I won there, which that's who I'm representing in the Ultimate, and then last weekend I won in Lake George. So kind of a double whammy, but they won't let me compete. But it's, I've enjoyed every minute I've been here, and it's very special. It's very special to do what we do and see the appreciation that we get when we come to his hometown. Well, you know what? I wanted to have fun again, and I wanted to do something I enjoy, and somewhere that people appreciate you, what you do, So I started doing this again.
Hey, we'll get back to those tribute artists in just a minute, but first, let's take a look at another group of artists who are learning ways to express themselves that they probably never even considered before. Vincent van Gogh once said, "If you hear a voice within you say, 'You cannot paint,' then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced." Sounds fair enough. All of these paintings, hanging in the gallery of the Columbus Arts Council, were created by people who can't paint. Now, I'm not talking as an art critic sizing up their technique or their talent. These canvases were created by people who, because of their physical condition, can't paint. But just because someone is in a wheelchair doesn't mean they don't have a raging urge within them to create and put color and lines and shadings on canvas to express their real voice. Well, a program at the T.K. Martin Center on the campus at Mississippi State University in Starkville allows them to do just that, to paint when they can't. The Martin Center is a service center for individuals with disabilities for the whole state. They do assistive technology evaluations for children and adults.
So if someone needs a wheelchair evaluation or an adaptive driving evaluation, a communication device, any kind of assistive technology, then we do the evaluations here at the T.K. Martin Center.
Judy Duncan has taken on another duty at the center. She is a tracker. A tracker is an able-bodied person who assists someone with a disability who is unable to paint to paint.
Our program is called Express Yourself, and it is an art program intended for individuals who have very severe physical disabilities. These are individuals who never got to participate in an art program, not independently, not at school, not in a community arts center. These are artists, individuals who don't get to make decisions in their life, for the most part, the day-to-day decisions of what to put on every day, what they eat, any decisions. And so this is an opportunity for them to be in total control of their environment, to do something they've never done before and be able to express emotions, whether it's happy or sad or a social type thing, just to be able to be creative in a way, and then to be able to sell their paintings and people buy their paintings and truly believe in what they do. I mean, it's an opportunity they've never had before.
Judy says there are probably less than 10 places around the country like this.
The idea came from the guru or the creator. His name is Tim Leffens. He's in Princeton, New Jersey. He's written a wonderful book called Flying Colors, and he tells about his experience of creating the techniques and procedures that we do to allow individuals who are really trapped in a body be able to express themselves through art.
Laurie Craig also works at the T.K. Martin Center. She's a speech pathologist. But Laurie also volunteers as a tracker. She says that although the trackers work as the hands of the artists they're assisting, it's not like they're doing the painting for them.
Well, I say I'm an artist, want to be, and so this way I can create art, but it's not really mine, but I can help someone else create. And when Judy first told us about, the program she learned about Tim, I've been in since the beginning and came to his training and was in the original group that was trained to be a tracker. You want to start on this side? Okay, do you want to roll it across? Okay, very lightly? Okay. We use two different ways for them to get the paint on the canvas. One will do a point system where they make points and they go from point to point. Do you want to connect the lines? Do you want to draw a circle? Or we have one artist who actually paints with a laser strapped to his head, and he directs us through the laser. So, but they direct everything that we do. We, we give them a choice of colors. We give them a choice of brushes. We use any kind of instrument from a horseshoe to a corn cob to a paintbrush, small or large. But they just like a lot of variety and get the textures, that unusual things that they can paint with.
The artists get to express themselves, sometimes for the first time in their life. Artist Shannon Herod finds her creations are a revelation of her inner being to more than just people seeing her paintings, but to herself also.
To be happy, to live a normal life. It mostly tells me about myself.
Artist Ashley Bass sees the process as a discovery of her own abilities.
It just showed me that you can do a lot more than you think you can do.
Tina Sweeten with the Columbus Arts Council is a big fan of the Express Yourself program and the quality of work turned out by it, as she shows off the latest from the program hanging in her gallery.
Some of the paintings are really reflective of the artist that did it, and so sometimes you can't really see the magic unless you've met the artist. But I just think that they're fantastic. I mean, it's some of the best work we've had in the gallery in a while.
So when any voice says you can't paint, that's the time to pick up the brush or communicate directions of what you want done with the brush. And not only is art the result, but discovery.
Most of them have found the artist inside them that they didn't know was there.
And perceptions began to change.
Because a lot of times they're thought of what they can't do, but then people see their art and they say, this is what I can do, and that's what's important.
The Elvis tribute artists that compete here in Tupelo really have their work cut out for them, because they're competing for the coveted title of Tupelo Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist 2013. And there's more than 25 of them competing over the course of 3 rounds to determine just who really will be the king of rock and roll, at least until next year. Until another round of Humps of Burning Love get up on the stage and rock and roll their Elvis loving little hearts out. But even though the festival celebrates the life of Elvis, there's more than just tribute artists. There's a couple of hound dogs that make an appearance in the Elvis Pet Parade. And while they may not be crying all the time, in fact, some of them look pretty happy, it's still a fun way for festival goers to get a chance to have a little fun on a Saturday morning. Oh, just like Elvis, there's another fixture on the American landscape that's made its mark in American culture over the years, and that is Coca-Cola. And we found a museum in Vicksburg dedicated to the fizzy beverage and discovered the reason that museum was founded.
This is where Coca-Cola was first bottled anywhere in the world. So the building is very significant. It was built in 1890. The Beatenhorns had a candy store, and they made candy, they baked cakes, and they also had the soda fountain. So they would have their strawberry flavor in the soda fountain along with hundreds of other flavors. You know, they change them out, and Coca-Cola was just one of those flavors. Coca-Cola, of course, was started in 1886, and it was only sold at soda fountains. They would deliver the syrup to soda fountains around the southeast. So they brought a jar of the syrup into Mr. Beatenhorn, and they said, you got to try this one. And so he tried it, and he loved it. And so he started putting it in his soda fountains. He had 3 in Vicksburg. And so he put it in all 3 of his soda fountains. The Beatenhorns actually bottled Coca-Cola here for the first time.
And that idea of bottling Coca-Cola dramatically changed the way people were able to consume it. In the past, the only place you could get Coca-Cola were in the cities, where there were soda fountains that dispensed Coca-Cola. All of that changed soon enough as Joe Beatenhorn's interest in Coca-Cola grew, and the Beatenhorn family held the bottling rights in Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas.
Every bottle had to be individually filled. There were no lines where each bottle came down and that kind of thing. You actually had to bottle each one. You see where it was a dangerous occupation because bottles sometimes blew up. So we have a mesh mask. They wore leather aprons, wooden shoes, things like that, just in case they blew up.
For Coca-Cola to be such a large product, and one of the largest products in the world, and to know that it was first bottled here in Mississippi, in Vicksburg, it's a lot to brag about.
The original bottle that Coke was bottled in was a Hutchinson blob top bottle, and it's a very thick bottle. It's got a straight side on it, and it was capped with a piece of wire that had a rubber stopper, so it was pushed down into the bottle. And the seal was very, very good. In fact, sometimes they delivered them upside down. The problem was that rubber gave off a flavor to the Coke after about a week. So it didn't take them very long to decide that the Hutchinson was not the bottle. And so Mr. Beatenhorn went to a straight-sided crown bottle, and the straight-sided crown had the cap that we know today, that, same cap, only it had cork on the inside.
Drink up if you're drinking, drink up if you're drinking, boys. Tell me what you
In 1915, after Coca-Cola really became popular, all the bottlers were using whatever bottle they wanted to use. Coca-Cola wanted a uniform bottle. So in 1915, they had a contest of sorts with people who manufactured bottles. And the one that won was called the Root Company. And that bottle is a Coca-Cola bottle that we know today. It's called the Hobble Skirt bottle or the Mae West bottle because of its, I guess, beautiful shape. And that's been used since 1915. And of course, it's gone through a variety of different exteriors on it as far as the printing on it or whether it's embossed and of course it was even used for 10 ounce and 16 ounce and things like that. But within that contest, what they asked for was if you take the bottle that you're developing and you throw it on the ground and it breaks into 100 pieces, every piece that you pick up, we should know that it's a Coca-Cola bottle. And if you think about it, even if you don't find the piece that has Coca-Cola on it, if you pick up any piece of a bottle of Coca-Cola bottle, you can pretty much tell it's a Coke bottle. One of the things that most people don't know about Coca-Cola is that in their advertising, they were the first to come up with what we believe Santa Claus to look like. And so they had a huge part to play in Christmas and I guess, everybody's childhood memories. And most of us remember it, from long ago on the back of the National Geographic. It's that last that back cover of that, and that's what everyone thinks about as being Santa Claus. But that came from Coca-Cola advertising.
We came to Vicksburg because of the historic importance of this town. We also visited this cute museum. It gives you an historic impression of the meaning of Coca-Cola and the role Vicksburg plays in the history of Coca-Cola.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of beautiful scenery, and I love Coke very much.
And then we have Coke memorabilia, so you can see how it changed from the very early days to the present day. We even have some of the new Coke memorabilia, so we spanned a good deal of time. And then if you'd like, we have Coke, Diet Coke, and Sprite, and we serve ice cream floats and have ice cream. So we kind of have the whole experience. This is the building that the Beadenhorns built in 1890. This was the first bottling place. When you come to the Beadenhorn Coca-Cola Museum, you get the real thing, and just to use one of their catchphrases.
During the competition, the judges score the Elvis tribute artists on their appearance, on their vocals, on their stage presence, and on their overall performance. And we took a minute and talked with one of the previous winners, Brandon Bennett, to get his take on this competition.
I'm here to enjoy the festival as an Elvis fan, as well as perform in the show tonight at the Lyric Theater. And I'm a returning champion from Tupelo. I won the preliminary contest here in 2007 and went on to win the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist Contest in 2008. Yeah, I've been doing this full time now for almost 13 years. To be on stage sometimes and wonder what would we all be doing right now if we weren't here doing this. If that man wouldn't have walked into Sun Studios in 1954 and recorded That's All Right Mama, what would be different, really in this world? And there's so many things, music, the so many people that Elvis inspired, from the Beatles to, you name it. I mean, artists even nowadays are still being inspired by Elvis and his music, and it's an amazing thing.
Well, the rules come from Elvis Presley Enterprises, so that's how you judge, basically. But talent counts more. Charisma, style, the way they dress. Elvis had so much charisma on stage, so you have to present that as Elvis did. So it was easy. If they had a good vocal, sometimes, their charisma style wasn't as good, or their style was great and their vocals, but vocals count double. We recognize that Elvis is Tupelo. Everything that we do has a little bit of Elvis in it, and we're very proud of it.
The Tupelo Elvis Festival's gotten so popular that it's been named in the Southeast Tourism Society's top 20 events for 3 years. People come in from miles around just to take part in the festivities. Of course, if you want to come, you'll probably need to book early. Word has it even the Heartbreak Hotel ran out of vacancies a few days ago. Well, actually, there is one inn that has a vacancy, but they don't have rooms, but they have a table waiting for you. And that's the Blowfly Inn restaurant on the Gulf Coast. But you better hurry because the locals flock there like flies. Down to the Gulf Coast, tucked away in Gulfport, is a little hidden secret that the locals have been buzzing about for years. You almost have to already know where it is to find it, tucked away close to the intersection of Lorraine, Cowan, and Pass roads. In fact, having a little difficulty finding the restaurant is what led to its unusual name. But we'll get to that part in a minute. It's the Blowfly Inn, an unusual restaurant with an unusual name, and a history that, like so many other places on the coast, saw its course recharted by Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So just how did the restaurant get its odd moniker?
Years ago, before it was even open, before 1961, Mr. Al used to cook for people down here on this property, just friends and relatives, and they would have cookouts, and it grew and grew and grew over the years, and people kept stopping at the restaurant right up the street, which was the main road at the time, and they kept asking where Al's place was, and because it's not an easy place to find. So the restaurateur got tired of them asking, and he finally said, just follow the string of blowflies, and that's how you get there, and that's how it got its name. And we knew it from growing up. We had all come here growing up, and it's just a unique property. It's right here on beautiful Bayou Bernard, and there aren't many locations like this in the country.
We've been coming here since about 1965. Well, the original place, as I recall, well, to begin with, it was very small, and they had dirt floors, and they had shuffleboard games and that sort of thing, and it was primarily known as a barbecue place.
And while the Blowfly Inn has changed hands a few times through the years and added the floor, obviously, some of its most colorful characters have not changed. More than a decade ago, we stopped in to talk to the locals about what it was that made the Blowfly Inn so special.
You see judges, lawyers, every prominent person that's ever lived in Gulfport eats here. And it's just comfortable. They can come in, a judge can come in and feel like I do, or look like me when they come in and they feel comfortable.
Now, that was 10 years ago, and Mike is still making his way to the Blowfly Inn.
I'm Mike Boudreau. I've been coming to the Blowfly for 40 plus years.
And if that's not enough, the first solid food that Mike's daughter ever ate came from the Blowfly Inn.
Yeah, in 1991, my wife got out the hospital. Of course, we couldn't get out right off the bat, but as soon as my daughter could get out, we brought her here, and the first solid food was red beans and rice from the Blowfly. And she loved them. She's loved them ever since.
So what is it that keeps customers coming back, not just for years, but for decades?
Yeah, the view is outstanding. We're right on Bayou Bernard, which is an inlet of the Gulf. You can catch all kinds of fish back here. People are fishing all the time, so you get to see the boats go by. People water ski out there. It's just a beautiful place to come to work every day.
I have been working here for 16 years. I love serving people. That's why I'm here. Most of all of us have at least one child, if not two children, that have worked in this restaurant. At one time, there was 9 servers and 9 daughters working here.
And it's more than just the family atmosphere.
I mean, I had a man come in from Las Vegas, and he wanted to know what the big fuss was about. And when I brought his stuffed flounder out, he said that was the biggest fish that he had ever had, and he will be back.
Most people ask for, their favorite dishes are the stuffed flounder, the filet, the seafood platter, and the shrimp plate, and the crab cakes. Those are probably the 5 most popular items we have.
Several years ago, things suddenly took a turn for the worse. The one-story restaurant was ruined.
Katrina hit in 05, August of 05. The water back here was totally over the top of the Blowfly. We never found the freezer, the smokehouse. We've never found any of that. The deck. We didn't get back here almost 8 days after Katrina hit.
We watched it on TV. I saw the destruction, and I knew being right on the water that it was just going to be gone.
The family of restaurant workers and regulars was devastated. They were out of jobs. Their place of employment, their second home, was gone.
And all of us met down here 9 days after the storm. And that was everybody that had left and came back because we're so dedicated, So we all met here, we all cried.
But even the storm couldn't take the wind out of proprietor Scott Weinberg's sails. He wasn't ready to give up.
Scott said, draw your unemployment, I'll figure something out. And a month and a half later, he figured out that the Holiday Inn would take us on 49.
And now the restaurant is built to withstand the floodwaters that another hurricane might hurl at it. But if another disaster strikes, you could bet it won't be long until the locals swoop in to get things going again.
It took us about a year to build the building. We opened up back here in December of 07, late December of 07, and then it really got going in January of 08. And from the get-go, we were extremely busy. People were excited for us to be back in our original location. They loved the building, and we were extremely busy for the first 4 or 5 months of operation.
We had the biggest opening, and we invited over 200 of the regular customers that followed us to 49 to eat. They followed us back this way, and this is home.
Well, things toned down a notch on Sunday morning here at the Tupelo Elvis Festival, while still paying tribute to Elvis's early years, where he found music inspiration by attending the Assembly of God Church. Now, in later life, Elvis was known for some pretty controversial moves with those gyrating hips. But at the same time, he still had a career singing gospel music. So on Sunday, there's a gospel brunch and a gospel concert that pays homage to the music reflecting Elvis's spiritual side. You know, out of Elvis's entire career, he had 3 Grammys, and all 3 of those were won for gospel recordings. Well, regrettably, that's all the time we have for this week's show. If you'd like any information about anything you've seen, contact us at mpbonline.org/Mississippi Roads, or join our Facebook page. We're going to leave you with some sights and sounds of some of the things we've seen and heard at the Tupelo Elvis Festival. Meanwhile, I'm Walt Grayson. I'll be seeing you on Mississippi Roads. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.